This content is for informational purposes only and does not replace professional medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider for personal health concerns. Did you know that for decades, a common ingredient hidden in our kitchen cupboards was silently linked to hundreds of thousands of heart-related events globally? It wasn't a rare toxin or an exotic poison, but a man-made fat engineered to make our snacks stay shelf-stable for years. We often think of the food industry as being focused on flavor, but the story of trans fats is one of chemistry outrunning biology. At the turn of the 20th century, food scientists sought a way to solidify liquid vegetable oils, creating a product that could mimic butter while lasting indefinitely on a pantry shelf. It seemed like a miracle of modern innovation, a way to make baking easier and frying cheaper. While we once believed these fats were a healthier alternative to animal-based saturated fats, rigorous investigations later revealed a more complicated reality. Research suggests that these partially hydrogenated oils do more than just raise your cholesterol. They actively disrupt the way your body handles fats, potentially contributing to inflammation and vascular damage. It is a sobering realization that a substance designed to improve the longevity of a cookie might have been inadvertently shortening the lives of those who ate them. Today, we are unraveling the long-term impact of this dietary experiment, looking closely at why our cardiovascular systems react so negatively to these specific molecular structures. It is important to approach this topic with curiosity rather than alarm. By understanding the history behind these ingredients, we can make more informed choices about the products we bring into our homes today. We are not just talking about nutrition labels. We are talking about the intersection of industrial food engineering and human physiology. Let's begin by looking at exactly what happens inside your bloodstream when you consume these substances. To understand the impact of these fats, we must first look at their structural blueprint. At the molecular level, fatty acids are chains of carbon atoms. Trans fats, however, are defined by a rigid, linear geometry. This straight-line structure is the result of a chemical process where hydrogen atoms are forced onto opposite sides of a double bond, effectively locking the molecule into a stiff, stable shape. It is important to distinguish between the two categories of trans fats. These are structurally distinct from the industrial variety, and current research suggests they may not carry the same cardiovascular risks. The true concern lies with artificial trans fats, created through a process known as partial hydrogenation. In the early 20th century, food scientists sought a way to make vegetable oils more shelf-stable and solid at room temperature. This innovation was heralded as a triumph of food engineering. It allowed baked goods to maintain a flaky texture and processed snacks to sit on supermarket shelves for months, virtually impervious to spoilage. However, this industrial stability came at a steep biological cost. When these molecules enter the bloodstream, they do not integrate into our cellular processes with the same ease as healthy fats. Instead, they linger, disrupt normal lipid transport, and interfere with the delicate balance of cholesterol management. While the food industry once viewed this transformation as a technological breakthrough, medical professionals now recognize it as a fundamental mismatch between modern manufacturing and human biology. As we move from the molecular structure into the broader consequences of these fats, we need to examine how this rigid geometry translates into tangible changes within your arteries, and why your heart reacts so unfavorably to their presence. To understand why your heart reacts so unfavorably to these manufactured fats, we have to look at how they manipulate your internal chemistry. Once trans fats enter your bloodstream, they don't just sit idle. They begin a process that fundamentally alters your cholesterol profile. You have LDL, often referred to as the low-density lipoprotein, which carries cholesterol to your cells, and HDL, the high-density lipoprotein, which acts as a cleanup crew, hauling excess cholesterol back to the liver to be processed. Research suggests that trans fats perform a double-edged assault on this system. Not only do they encourage your liver to produce more LDL cholesterol, but they simultaneously suppress your body's ability to generate healthy HDL. This shift creates a problematic environment where cholesterol is more likely to deposit along the inner walls of your arteries, rather than being cleared away. However, the damage goes deeper than just shifting numbers on a blood panel. As these trans fats circulate, they appear to trigger a persistent, low-grade inflammatory response within the lining of your blood vessels, known as the endothelium. This damage makes it significantly easier for LDL particles to stick to the arterial wall and begin forming plaque. Studies indicate that this process is a primary driver of atherosclerosis, where the arteries narrow and harden over time, restricting the smooth flow of oxygen-rich blood to your vital organs. It is a silent, systemic issue. Your body is essentially fighting a battle against a substance it wasn't designed to process efficiently. This chronic irritation doesn't just affect the heart, it can impact the health of blood vessels throughout your entire body, influencing everything from circulation to organ function. As we peel back the layers of this biological interference, it becomes clear that the problem isn't just about weight or dietary habits. It is about the specific, aggressive way these molecules interact with our cellular machinery. To understand the full scope of the danger, we need to look at how these molecular changes eventually lead to acute cardiovascular events. The transition from molecular damage to a full-blown health crisis rarely happens overnight. Instead, it is a silent, cumulative progression that often goes unnoticed until the clinical markers reach a critical threshold. When we look at the long-term impact of trans fat consumption, we are essentially watching the development of systemic instability within the body. When these markers align, the body's internal equilibrium is compromised, placing an immense burden on the heart and the entire vascular network. One of the most concerning outcomes observed in clinical settings is the acceleration of atherosclerosis. Think of your arteries as smooth, flexible conduits. Trans fats contribute to the hardening and narrowing of these passages by promoting the accumulation of plaque. Studies suggest that even moderate intake over an extended period can significantly alter your lipid profile, specifically by driving up low-density lipoprotein, or LDL, while simultaneously suppressing the protective high-density lipoprotein, or HDL. Beyond the immediate threat to your arteries, the metabolic disruption caused by these fats often manifests as chronic systemic inflammation. When your cells are constantly exposed to these rigid, unnatural molecules, the immune system may perceive them as a persistent threat, triggering an inflammatory response that never truly powers down. Over time, this state of heightened alert can weaken the structural integrity of your vessel walls and complicate the way your body processes insulin. This is why many health professionals highlight trans fat avoidance as a primary strategy for managing metabolic health and preventing the onset of complications that can lead to severe cardiovascular events. You might feel entirely fine, yet the underlying physiological landscape is shifting toward a state of vulnerability. This is precisely why routine screenings are so essential. They provide the data necessary to see what is happening beneath the surface before a crisis occurs. However, understanding the clinical markers is only half of the equation. Knowing the risks is one thing, but identifying the sources of this danger in your own kitchen is the next logical step in protecting your long-term vitality. Taking control of your pantry starts with a simple, deliberate shift in how you navigate the grocery aisles. It is easy to feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information on product packaging, but once you know exactly what to look for, the process becomes second nature. You are looking for the phrase partially hydrogenated oils. Even if the nutrition facts panel claims 0 grams of trans fat, if those words appear in the ingredients, the product contains trans fats. By scanning the list for these specific oils, you reclaim agency over what enters your home. Beyond simply avoiding the bad, we have to focus on what you should be inviting into your kitchen. Replacing harmful fats with heart-healthy alternatives is a powerful way to bolster your cardiovascular health. Think of olive oil, avocados, nuts, and seeds as your foundational building blocks. These options provide the essential fatty acids your body needs to thrive without the inflammatory baggage of processed fats. The transition doesn't have to happen overnight. You might start by auditing your snacks or reconsidering the cooking fats you use for your evening meals. Look for products that rely on natural, whole food sources of fat. As you begin to favor these nutrient-dense staples, you will likely find that your palate adjusts, and the reliance on processed, shelf-stable items naturally diminishes. This isn't about restriction, it is about choosing ingredients that work in harmony with your biology rather than against it. Now that we have refined your dietary strategy and cleared the path for healthier choices, we need to look at the broader landscape of your lifestyle to ensure these improvements are sustainable for the long haul. Moving beyond your personal plate, a significant shift is occurring on a global scale. Public health authorities worldwide have recognized that the dangers posed by industrially produced trans fats are too severe to ignore, leading to an unprecedented wave of legislative action. From major international coalitions to individual nations, there is a concerted effort to remove these synthetic compounds from the food supply entirely. The data is clear. Where strict bans have been implemented, hospital admission rates for cardiovascular emergencies have dropped significantly. This global trend proves that when policy aligns with biological reality, we see immediate, life-saving results. The success of these legislative efforts serves as a powerful testament to what can be achieved when we prioritize long-term wellness over the convenience of cheap, shelf-stable ingredients. We are witnessing the end of an era where hydrogenated oils were the standard, replaced by a growing demand for transparency, integrity, and safety in our food systems. As these bans continue to expand, the landscape of what you find on grocery store shelves is becoming inherently safer, making it easier for you to maintain the healthy path you have chosen. Ultimately, removing trans fats is not merely a dietary preference, it is a fundamental pillar of modern health. By keeping your arteries clear, your inflammation levels low, and your cellular health protected, you are investing in a future of vitality. To recap, trans fats are essentially structural mimics that disrupt your body's natural signaling, increase your risk of heart disease, and compromise metabolic efficiency. Eliminating them is the single most effective way to safeguard your cardiovascular system. Choosing whole, unprocessed, or minimally refined fats restores the natural balance your body craves. This content is for informational purposes only. If you found this information helpful, consider sharing it with someone you care about, and thank you for taking the time to invest in your own well-being today.